snapshots of what may have occurred. And it's the snapshots that terrify them because they don't know what they mean. What they've often discovered in hypnosis is that it isn't quite the way they had assumed from their conscious mind. And that's really important because I go into any hypnosis not knowing what we're going to find, and it could very well be that it appears that these beings are, they are using someone in a way that they feel they've got absolutely no input or consent. One of the questions that I ask when they're in this deep deep place, which is obviously in the subconscious, I put stroke superconscious, part of you that knows so much more. That's the part that I'm talking to in a hypnosis. And I ask them this question every time. First of all, we find out that procedures may have been done. These procedures can be anything from a medical exam to a healing procedure, which confronts a lot of people because they just think they're being used as some kind of genetic piece of equipment rather than, in fact, there's anything else going on. But there may be genetic material taken, but there also may be healing done. Education is done on the craft. They are taught to use their abilities on the craft. They have information about the true origin of the species. They're taught about cosmology. They're taught huge, quantum physics. Now, this is a revelation to many people who first come to me because all they can remember is being really scared, coming and taking them, not knowing what's going to happen. And one of the other questions that I ask time and time again with a similar response, have you, on any level, consented to having these experiences? And 9 times out of 10, they will go back. Now, this is going to confront maybe people who don't believe in reincarnation and
no, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're bringing this up because we are going to talk about the consent and the contracts on a soul level. Go right ahead.
Well, this is what's so important for the person that I'm exploring. I'm helping to explore that deeper part of their knowledge and awareness. One of the things they will say is, I'm a ball of light. And it's then I have consented because many of them, again, this is very confronting material. Many of them say that they are relatives or come from the origin of the beings they're interacting with in human form. So they are coming to bring in their awareness, their knowledge, their understanding, and skills for a program which they say in that space is to assist with the evolution of humanity, the human species. So they're bringing in those skills from their origins, and that's why many of them feel they don't belong here, that they're not from here, that their family is out there, and almost feel like they've been dumped here. And they don't like it. They don't understand the way humanity behaves. They say it's very barbaric. It's very primitive. And they can't understand why they feel that way, why they even feel different to their own families, their parents or their siblings. And this is because they seem to bring in with them the knowing or understanding of this other aspect of themselves, for want of a better word. So when they discover that this is part of their greater reality, it changes everything in how they view their contacts. And even their contacts change because they no longer feel like they're a victim. They feel more of a participant in the experience, and because of that, because they are no longer fearful, their encounters change. So what they say to me is this, that the reason that they are taken in a trance state is because the beings know that they will react and they can harm them because we are physically stronger, that the only way is, if you like, to anesthetize them until they get the understanding so they're not fearful anymore. So this is a completely, it's an amazing turnaround for many people who come to me traumatized, but with the understanding of this, they actually can integrate and open up to a healing and balancing place where they then go into a more conscious communication often with these intelligences. Now, the way that I describe that is, I participated in a thesis which was comparing shamanism to the UFO abduction experience, and this was done in Western Australia. And what was found was the parallels between a shamanic experience and a modern-day UFO encounter experience, in the sense that as a shaman, you have to face your demons, You have to face your fears before you can truly interact in a multidimensional reality. And this is exactly what happens with the encounter experience. Once they understand it, they are actually more consciously participating because they literally transcend those human fears. So it's almost like, and the results are transformation. More awareness of their multidimensional abilities, healing. Many of them discover they have healing abilities, clairvoyant abilities, telepathic abilities. They are aware of having information downloaded into their subconscious, which contains data which I call the software for the new human. So this is what people don't realize. They're only seeing a very small part of what this whole encounter scenario is saying. That's only 25% of the, I've dealt with 1,700 cases so far. I can only go on the patterns of experience as I try to understand what I don't know. And interestingly, the others are what I call the star kid side of it, the sleepers, the third wave, are those that have a sense of something greater. They feel they're here with a mission. They've got something to do. They don't understand humans. They don't like being here. Many of them try and dumb themselves down at school because they don't want to be different. Many of them will even go on to drugs and alcohol to suppress their clairvoyant abilities and their multidimensional abilities because they want to fit in. But all of them struggle with the reality, their multidimensional reality, and their human third-dimensional reality because of the fact that they don't know how to manage it because it's denied in Western society. But they don't want to be here. They say, look, I don't understand why I'm here. I feel like I've been dumped. And so you've got those that really aren't frightened of these intelligences. They feel very connected to them, and they talk about them like family. And they will welcome their interactions. They will welcome their contacts. So you've got this huge panorama and mix of encounters that go from absolutely terrified on one, on one level to those that welcome it as it makes absolute sense to them, and it's humans that they're fearful of. So what people don't realize is that broad diversity, which I can only put down to each soul's journey is different, and that as a soul we choose a different kind of interaction to wake us up to our, if you like, our greater self.
I want to just go back to the part that was started about the consent issue. If a person's cosmology is that everything that's happening is just happening in real time, and there was no soul agreements, there was never a time in which they lived before, Akashic records don't exist, none of that is there, then there's no context over lifetime after lifetime in which to receive and to view this type of an experience for oneself, one's family members, friends, or anybody. There's no way to accept the consent issue, to say I consented on a soul level to this, if you have no context in which to even potentiate the thought of that. So the worldview and the cosmology has to predate the acceptance of consent, because otherwise, to say that a soul consented it from people that don't carry that worldview, they can't absorb it. They can't integrate it. They can't get it. It just looks like the license to abduct people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
I do, Kim.
So I just wanted to say that the consent can only be acknowledged by older souls who have already accepted and have a knowing that they have been before, or other souls who are receptive to that they have been before as a soul. And whatever country they're from, whatever background they're from, whatever, without that general receptivity and an openness to that, consent in terms of abduction cannot be accepted. Do you agree with that?
What I would say, Kim, is that would be certainly correct if people didn't understand hypnosis and working with the subconscious. I have worked with people who didn't believe, for example, for 1 minute in past lives, but in hypnosis have gone back to them. and explored